Well, I'm Beryl. I'm 77 years old and I've lived in this house for 54 years. And prior to that I lived over on the corner of this street for 6 years. I think I'm about the oldest identity in this street. And when I came here, my frog was sitting here on this top, and it used to belong to my husband's mother and father, but I have had it ever since. So it was a big thing in my life when it disappeared, because every morning when I'd come out here I'd see the frog and look at it, and sometimes I'd say hello and sometimes I wouldn't. Now when we came home and David noticed that Froggie was gone, and he said, "Oh Mum, Froggie's gone." So I got a surprise of course, and I got out and I looked around, and so did David, and we decided, well, couldn't find it around in the garden anywhere, and so we unpacked a few things out of the car, and David went looking around the streets to see if there was any of the gardens. Couldn't find it anywhere, so we decided I'd ring the police, or I decided I'd ring the police. David said, "Are you really going to bother?" And I said, "Oh yes, you never know, they might raid somewhere and find a frog, they wouldn't know where to bring it back."
We notified the police. The police came and interviewed Mother. This is my mum.
My name's Jacqueline Fraser. I'm a Senior Constable of Police. I received a phone call when I was working at Brunswick Police Station from Beryl Cameron. She wanted to report something had been taken from her front yard. So Jason Walsh and myself, we attended at her address.
The police came down, and a lady and a man, and they were very kind and very helpful in whatever way, and took all the notes about it. How much did I think it was worth? And I said, "Oh well, I couldn't put a price on it because I'd had it for so long." But they told us to look around into the pawn shops and even some of the garage sales. But anyway, I think David did for a few weeks, but we decided it was gone.
She was quite a nice lady, and she was in good spirits. She knew that she probably wouldn't get her frog back, and although she was upset, she sort of accepted it. I explained to her that at the time there was a bit of a racket going on where frogs were being stolen in the area. They were being stripped and the parts were being sold interstate. But she knew that I was sort of having a bit of a lend of her. I remember we faxed the report off, and we told the other patrolling units to keep a lookout for the frog, and we showed them a photograph. But unfortunately the frog wasn't found that day or in the next few weeks after that.
Are you joking? Or is it true?
Oh, we're quite serious.
I think we actually did say that a frog had been found, because Mrs. Cameron was such a lovely lady, and we really wanted to try and find the frog for her, because it had been such a family in the, what do you call it, an heirloom type.
Yeah, I think she mentioned that it had been in the family for 60 years or something like that. So yeah. And it virtually sat on her porch there and kept the watch over the street. Yeah. So yeah, it actually meant quite a lot to her.
Different little family members that had come here, they'd say to their father and mother, "Where's Froggie? Froggie's gone."
My name is Joe. I'm from Italian background. I was moved here in West Brunswick 1972. So we decided to buy, and we found good neighbours. And the first one that I met was, we call her Mama Beryl because she's a really nice lady, and to us she's like a mother. One morning I got a phone call from Mama Beryl and say, "Joe, have you seen my frog?" I thought it was a joke. And she said, "No, my frog." I said, "Which frog?" I said, normal the frogs that live in the pond. She laughed and she said, "No, my frog." I said, "What happened?" "Disappearing." I said, "I don't know, I haven't seen it."
Anyway, we didn't see anything or hear anything about the frog for quite a while, until one day our neighbour, Joe Maraca, was talking to his neighbour and he spotted the frog in the background sitting up on top of the barbecue chimney. The Italians have barbecue chimneys, barbecues with a high chimney on it.
So one morning, about a month later, it would have to be a month or 6 weeks, I just happened like every morning I go out in the backyard to wash the yard, and I saw my neighbour over the fence, Mr. Liberatore, and I talked to him, say hello, just like we usually do, have a chat. And as I looked up in the other neighbour, I saw the frog sitting on top of the chimney. I couldn't believe my eyes. I recognised the frog, and I said, "Artidoro." He said to me, "Yes, can you see what I see?" He said, "What do you see?" I said, "I can see the frog," because I had mentioned it to him about the frog disappearing from Miss Cameron's place. And he said, "No." I said, "Look over the fence." And he said, "Yes, it is. Are you sure that's hers?" I said, "Yeah, I can recognise it anywhere, at any time." I said, "Known the frog for years." And that was it. So I got back inside and I rang back Mama Beryl and I said, "Mama Beryl," she goes, "Guess what?" The first thing she said to me, "The frog?" I said, "Yep, the frog come back." And she wouldn't believe me. I said, "Yeah, the frog come back." When I mentioned where the frog was, she said, "I'm going to call the police now."
So I rang the police again and told them that I'd discovered the frog, and the two police that I had been in contact with, they were on leave. Or one was on leave and due back, and the other one was going on leave that same day. So anyway, they asked me several questions about the people, and I said I don't know them at all. All I know, there were some young girls that had rented the house. But I did know, and I had told the police earlier, that they'd had a pretty big loud party the weekend that the frog was stolen, because the police had been down to them. I was told by neighbours.
Well, I think it was a couple of months later I received a phone call at Brunswick, and that somebody had found the frog in a nearby yard, and I was actually the watch house keeper, so I spoke to Jackie, who was out on patrol that day, and I gave her the information where the frog was, and I passed it on to her to go to the address and see if she could retrieve the frog.
I then went round to the address and actually could see the frog from the street. Knocked on the door, but no one was home, so it took me probably a week before I could speak to someone in the house. It was actually, went round at 7 o'clock in the morning, knocked on the door, woke them up and explained, or got them to explain where they got the frog from, and they really couldn't tell me how they got it. I think it was as a result of a few drinks at a party.
About a week or so more went past, and all of a sudden I was going out to work one day, and I opened the front door and here's the police car. Anyhow, two police came to the door, and I yelled out to Mum, "Froggie's home."
I usually go back to bed when he's had his breakfast and going to work. And when I came to the door in my nightie, here's the two police with the frog, and the police car pulled up in the driveway.
They didn't know where it came from, they didn't know how it got there. Really, charges couldn't be laid because there was really no intention to do anything wrong. It was just a practical joke, I think. So we decided that if we could just return the frog, that it was in everyone's best interests to just give it back.
So I got the frog back. So it was like getting part of me back, because I'd had it for so long. You know, it was real history as far as we were concerned, or I was concerned anyway. So it was there from the day that I got married, and it was there until it got stolen. Well, Froggie is not out the front any longer. My friend Joe, who said that he would drill a hole in it and put screws in it and then cement it onto the balustrade, I think that's what they call, out the front. But we decided that the people that stole it in the first place might get a bit nasty and come and smash it up with a sledgehammer. So we decided we'd leave it in the backyard, have its future home out there. And I can see it every time I go out in the backyard to say hello to it.